I got it to work. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, bro. This is redonkulous. Welcome to paraglidingtalk.com. A half an hour late. Sorry, guys. Okay. We will get this thing sorted in just a second. Please hold. I'm literally, I got to tell the guy that's helping me in India that it's working. That's so funny. Thank you. Oh my gosh. You guys have no idea. I am not tech savvy at all. And so give me just a second. I'm going to send Andrew and Sean the invites. Okay. So a whole new program. We're using a deal called Zoom. Oh my word. I'm glad you guys stuck around. Seriously. Thank you. I'm going to get my stuff together, I promise. Give me just a second here. We're going to send some invitations. All right. So how's everybody doing tonight? Glad that you are here. We're going to interview Andrew Fuller. And this is going to be a super cool show, by the way. Let's invite Parker Awesome. Let's invite Nebraska PPG. Let's invite invite Todd. Where's Brandon? Brandon McCloud. All right. Let's get this going. Who am I forgetting? Larry. Larry. All right, let's try this here. Okay, the invites are out. What a ridiculous pile of shenanigans. Okay, look at this. I can see the chat. We up in here. Okay, so the guys should have received the invitations in their emails. I should just message these guys real quick just to let them know. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Well, anyways, this show is brought to you by Nebraska PPG. Josh Bowden, he runs a paragliding school in Nebraska. If you want to be a participant, you can join his school, join his flying group. He has a there's a connection to the website, paraglidingtalk.com. Go check out his stuff. Show is also brought to you by Resurgence PPG. Go to resurgenceppg.com if you're interested in supporting the veterans that are trying to get their feet off the ground. He has a great organization, and it's a 501c3. So if you want to donate, your donations are tax deductible. Show is also brought to you by Mike Cotter and flymyppg.com. And hey, Andrew. There's also he's got a flying group there in Michigan. If you're anywhere in the Michigan area and you're interested in getting that, you need flymyppg.com. Show's also brought to you by Orange Products, paragliding products for parapilots by parapilots. Go to paraorangeproducts.com for all of your paragliding needs. Show's also brought to you by ppgsmoke.com. The new smoke machine is designed by Ryan Roberts. You can check out what's going on the new cutting edge technologies for the future of paramotoring and free flight. And if you're interested in getting in on the contest, go to paraglidingtalk.com/contest. Yeah, you need that. And show's also brought to you by Tri-State Skywalkers. If you're in Indiana, Kentucky, or Ohio area, reach out to Brandon McCloud on Facebook. Tri-State Skywalkers Flying Club's aim is to help out the locals with friendship and organization. If you're interested in starting a local club, you can reach out to Brandon, and he's got a great thing going on over there. Show's also brought to you by iFly Indiana Powered Paragliding. If you're interested in flying paramotors, no better place to get some good training, iflyindiana.com. for that website. Kevin and his team will get your feet off the ground. Woo! I don't know how we did it, but we did it. Let's see what the guy. I want to see what the guy in India said.
It was as pleasant as this.
Oh,
yes. Well, I have to say I am very proud of myself because on the last chat I had everybody's name in. By the time we got everything figured out here, I still had everybody's name in. Boom. Ha. That's right.
I'm just trying to figure out what in the world is going on around here.
You broke the internet and all that trash talking Google that you did when we weren't on the air, and they were like, "Oh yeah, bleep." You know, he's got a Mac. That's all we needed to know. Bleep.
Okay, so here's what I'm trying to figure out. So we just started a new live stream, right? There's a way to send a link to the old show, but the old show got deleted, right?
Yeah, it dropped. It dropped me. I don't know if it did everybody else, but
yeah, I killed it.
Yeah, you killed it, Robert.
Okay, good. No, that's fine.
Fell swoop. It was compassionate. It just done. We didn't even know. We were like, what? How are we going to see all the good stuff? Like withdrawals were like, we just want to see Robert's show. You know.
Andrew Fuller, you're going to have to come on a full another episode for this shenanigans. And I deeply apologize for my lack of taking care of business. It's completely my fault. And I have no excuse. I waited until the last second to do what I was supposed to do. I checked this morning and Google Hangouts was working. And I'm like, oh, well, surely they wouldn't delete my show that I created on the interwebs. And sure enough, I come home, I take a little nap. I'm thinking, man, it's just going to be like normal. I go to click Google Hangouts and it goes, this does not work any longer. I'm like, no. Oh my gosh. And then the shenanigans with Zoom, it didn't want to accept my YouTube account. We're good now. 37 people.
Oh, that's right.
Have nothing better to do on a Thursday night.
Well,
I wait around for us. Thank you.
Like I said, I think it was the withdrawals. They were like, I could be offline, but no, I want to catch the show, but it's not working. Is he gonna make it work? Is it not gonna work? Is it just a failed experiment that is just like, you know? Yeah.
I'm gonna send David Wolf. He helped me, and I'm gonna send 2 more invites. You guys, hang tight here.
Well, Andrew stuck it out really good, man. Hey, kudos, buddy. You're doing great, man.
Andrew, you are a very, very desirable person to have on the show. You have, okay, so just if anybody's not knowing who he is, he's 7 years experience. He's got a bunch of SIV. He's got some great SIV videos on YouTube, and I've been watching them all week. He also has been training, or he trained with Dell, right, for the paramotor stuff that Dell's slinging. And then he also worked for Blacktop. So he's got this just incredible information value. And so we're definitely going to have to do 2 shows. And again, I apologize. I'm trying to just hit my butt with both hands here and get everybody dialed in. See if I can get these last couple invites. Trike flyer. I don't know what David's email is. I have David Wolf, but I don't have Trike Flyer. Trike Flyer, I am sorry. I don't know what your email is. I have it somewhere in here. Anyways, so Andrew, I am so glad that you stuck around and I know that you made some weird things move around so that you come on the show, and you made it happen. So thank you again. You are awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to start the show off. I want to talk a little bit about your background and how you got into the sport first, obviously. And then I want to dig into some of the intricacies of how you went from working with the Super Dell team and then also flying some of his gear and all your takeaways from that stuff. So first, how'd you get in the sport?
Um, First time I saw it actually was probably when I was 12 years old. It was people flying quads, and yeah, I saw it. I thought it was cool, and then I didn't see anything for it for about another 10 years. And I was going to school in Key West, and one of the guys I was going to school with was into extreme sports, and he mentioned powered paragliding, that he was going to get into it, and I immediately knew what it was. And then it was about another year when I had a little bit of money, as it just popped into my head again. I was like, what about that paramotoring thing? So I looked into it, and that was it. I went out and bought I bought the cheapest gear that money could buy, which would cost me about $3,000 for a wing and a motor and everything. And I made the horrible mistake of being self-trained. So yeah, I did that. I was self-trained for about 4 or 5 months. And then after flying around and being a little bit nervous while I was flying, actually completely nervous the whole time, I went and actually got training. And I've basically been taking training ever since. So.
And who was it that who was your immediate instructor?
My first instructor was Dell, the flat top guys.
And did you come to Southern California?
Yeah, that was when it was in San Diego, the first half of it, and the second half was in Mexico.
Okay. Well, and that's 7 years ago. So interesting. What did you think about that training, by the way?
Well, it was my first training. And I think 7 years ago, the training standards weren't as high. So I liked it when I was done with training. I thought it was good. I actually got invited back as an instructor. And yeah, still to this day, I think it's relatively good training. I think that there's been a lot more expanded on the rest of the sport. It's also a lot easier to find people for training now. Kind of like 7, 8 years ago, paramotoring on YouTube wasn't that big. It was almost non-existent on Facebook. So
I missed what you said right there. It's what? Training is what?
Oh, like it was harder to find instructors.
Oh, okay,
7, 8 years ago. They were rare. The US PPGA was not really taking that seriously 7 years ago. There were very small amount of YouTube videos out, so it was kind of hard to find and get into the sport. When I actually showed up for paramotor training, that was the first time I had met another paramotor pilot.
Whoa.
Yeah, like even the guy I bought equipment off of, he's like, "Yeah, I bought it. Training didn't go that well, so I'm selling it." So
did you get a good deal at least?
Yeah, it was like $3,000, but the motor wasn't running. But that was an easy fix. It was a glider and a frame and a motor. So
nice.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward. You went and you did some training. They called you. Did Super Dell call you?
It was actually at the second to last day of training. He's like, "Hey, can you come out for the next one? Give us a hand teaching these people how to kite and stuff." And of course, paramotoring was the coolest thing I had done at that point, still is now. So it didn't take much to get me back. So I ended up doing 3 or 4 trainings. And actually, in between one of them, I even went up there and stayed with him.
Interesting. So he literally calls you up, says, "Hey, can you come down? I need you to help me train." How much experience did you have at that point?
Like 5 months of self-trained, and it was the second to last day of training. So like nine days.
What was he having you do? You were just obviously pulling wings out and organizing crap. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
There we go.
When I would kite, I wouldn't just kind of stand there and kite with the wing over my head. I was trying to climb up the rocks, and I was trying to battle everybody with kites, and I would just wear myself out in like an hour. And then I would drink some water. I'd be kind of sitting there like, man, I don't really want to pick up that glider for a little while. So I'd go kind of help flip somebody else's glider over, help them out. And I guess before the training was over, he just kind of looked over and he was like, "Hey, I don't even think he asked. He's like, "So you coming out here on the next one to help me teach?" I'm like, yeah, because of course that's kind of what we all want, is to be more involved in the sport. So as soon as I got the opportunity, I took it.
So was he sarcastic about it? Like, we're going to dominate this class?
No, see, the problem with it is that when I called him for training, I wanted to be a tandem pilot, and eventually I did want to be an instructor. And he was able to fool me into thinking that he was the only administrator for tandem ratings and for becoming an instructor. I had no clue about the other stuff. And
well, he was right, but what you missed was the word super in front of whatever he was saying.
Yeah, and then it kind of was bad when I was there. I remember being like, okay, so I did the class, so I'm an instructor, right? And he's like, yeah, and I'm like, well, where's my rating? He's like, there is no rating, and I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. You said there was a rating, so yeah, we kind of get into it there, but
brutal. I appreciate you being clear on that and just coming out on the internet.
Yeah, I was actually,
Wow.
I think I was the last person and the second to last person to actually get a BFI from that. And then they pulled his ratings like a month later. So I was lucky that I was adamant about getting it from him. But
wow.
But yeah, it wasn't like I didn't know that the WPPGA was not real. So I still got my WPPGA instructor shirt too.
Matt, I'm just floored that he called you to work for him as a brand new student. Just
yeah.
Hey, but that's cool though. I think that, I mean, I'll say
at the time I thought it was okay. Looking back on it, no.
Because you were obviously teaching people. You were in a position where you're teaching stuff. And in my opinion, especially if you were just a paramotor guy, your kiting skills were probably not on point, and you're going to relay what you know the best you can.
Actually, right? I was kiting I think I was kiting no hands when I showed up to training. Because when I called him, I was like, okay, what do I need to do to fly? He says, you got to be able to have complete control of the glider. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, kiting no hands, weight shift. And, I had like 4 months before I went there, because I was only flying for about 2 months before I was like, all right, I got to get training.
Okay. Here's the question. This is the question everybody wants to know.
Okay.
Why did you decide after already 6 months of self-training to go get training?
Scared.
You were scared.
So it was only like 2 months in where I was flying around, and I was kind of looking around one day, and I was like, you know what? I'm nervous. And I feel like I'm missing something here. And the only way to get over this nervousness is to go get training and learn because things were unknown. Like my first flight, I took a big old frontal, like 40 feet off the ground, because I flew in a rotor, because I didn't know what rotor was. I also launched at about 2:00 in the afternoon in the middle of a baseball diamond. It's a spot that was so tight that I probably wouldn't even launch there now. So I was making some pretty bad decisions. And when I would fly, and I'd be flying around, I would just be looking around like, I'm kind of nervous. Anything I'm doing, I'm nervous about. And so I was like, I got to take training. Where am I going to get training from? It's like, okay, well, this guy's the administrator for everything. He's top dog, or so I thought. So I went there.
Internet.
Right. And that was actually, there weren't a whole lot of trainers back then, and there was like no help on self-instruction. Like my self-instruction pretty much consisted of me just kind of figuring out where I would call up other instructors, and they would all tell me I'm going to die and all that stuff. Part of the reason I did go with Dell was because, like, I remember I called him one day and I was like, hey, I'm driving out to go flying again. It's me, what are these trimmers? Should I have them out or in? Woo! And like, I called somebody else and they were like, they just hung up on me.
What's a trimmer?
Yeah. I called him. I was like, what are these things? And he was like, oh, the trimmers, you need to have them out in for launch, in for landing. I was like, all right. So
right now, somebody that's watching the show just went, oh, let me write this down.
Oh, that was me. Sorry.
By the way, thank you, David Wolf, for your help in getting everything going. And Trike Flyer, thank you just for the moral support, for being there.
I don't want to miss the show, so I got to help you, man.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
Well, I got stuff to give away. I saw you guys go live with using Zoom, and that's why I was like, if everything else falls apart and I can't get it going, I'll use Zoom. It looks pretty cool.
It's cool. I love the virtual backgrounds that we can put in here too. Dave, you got to put yours up. Pretty cool. Unless your virtual background is your RV.
That is his virtual background. Well, I want to use the advertisers. I'm going to use the people who advertise the show. I'm going to make a few different little backgrounds when I'm talking about it. We'll see if I can pull it off.
Great idea.
So, Andrew, you moved on to work for Blackhawk in Southern California?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was just a random phone call one day. Actually, a random Facebook message from one of their employees that was actually working at Dell's at the time, and he left Dell's and went to work for Blackhawk. And
Okay.
yeah, he got a hold of me, and he was like, "Hey, their instructor had I guess he was gardening and he passed out, like was leaning over and he passed out and like broke some ribs or something." And they were like, "Yeah, we got all these students coming into town. Is there any way you can make it out here in like 36 hours?"
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah, I checked with my boss. I was like, "Hey, can I? This is the situation." He knew that I was paramotoring and all serious about paramotoring and all that stuff. And he was like, "Yep, go do it." So
Cool
I
balls.
drove from Colorado to California. I got in at like 5:30 in the morning. Like I slept for a couple hours in my car that night. Got in at 5:30 in the morning. Went straight for training. So
No kidding.
yeah.
And who do you report to when? Well, let me ask you this: do you obviously get paid to help?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And that was same thing with Dell, or was Dell just kind of like?
Dell was like equipment trade.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a kind of a good idea.
Nah.
I can teach people to no, that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
Andrew Sandor had a question. Did he ask you to call him Super Dell, or did you ever say, "Hey Dell"? And he says, "That's Mr. Super Dell to you."
Yeah, no.
I'm getting in trouble. My wife has texted me, "Stop being so mean to Dell." The only reason that I'm mean to Dell is because he was mean to me first.
That's fair. Yeah.
Dude, I'm just a hungry pilot. I want to learn stuff. And he came at me all crazy in my videos in my chat. And he offended my friend Woody. She's yelling. She just yelled, "Not an excuse."
Woody gamer tag?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody else and Mark.
Yeah, yeah. If he hasn't offended you yet, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the goods. There's a lot of people that are watching going, okay, we want to find out like we want to get to the guts of the different paramotors. And then we're going to talk about your brand and we're calling it your brand. I don't really know if it is actually yours, but you've designed a bunch of stuff and I watched some of your videos. That's the only way I know about that. What were your takeaways between, first question, training, the differences in the training between what you got with Dell and what you got at Blackhawk?
I don't really want to do that. That would turn into that would kind of turn negative.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
Let's do this. That's actually very wise. Let's say it like this. What were your personal takeaways that you learned that you said, I'm glad that I was here to learn this? And you don't have to tell me what side of the camp you learned what from.
The kiting. And I still, it's rare that I meet another person that thinks kiting is as important as I do. But it's really like it's more than just launching. It's feeling the glide. Like even in acro, like when I'm doing acro now, I think like the kiting that I have and the glider control and the ability to read the glider comes in a lot handier than people think. So basically, if you can control the wing, nothing else can go wrong. Because it's all wing and glider control. After that, it's just your throttle. So yeah. So
what else? There's got to be some profound wisdom that you gained from going through both of those, especially at training.
I guess you could say I learned how important training is.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, like some schools spend a lot of time with glider control a lot, and they want you to get a lot of flights in.
Right.
And you can see a big difference in those students when they come out of there, compared to schools that only do, like back in the day, some schools used to do 3 to 5 days training, and then they would only do it inland, or they would do it inland. They would only do it in the mornings and in the evenings. So you only get a couple hours in the morning, a couple hours in the evening. On the beach, you get all day. So unless the wind just blows it out.
That's got to be nice.
But there's things, like on the beach you don't get as good at forwards, but I think it's more important to have number of flights rather than, like, I think it's better to have 30 reverses than 5 forwards when you're walking away from training. So It's kind of the reason I don't really like to train anymore. I don't train anymore. It's just because I'm real particular about the weather and getting enough time to train the people. And I feel like it's hard for me to like let go of a student and be like, no, you're right where I want you. You're finally right where I want you. I feel like that would actually take me like a month. And that's like a personal problem, like, because I want them to learn so much more than they actually need to know to fly. So.
Love it.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm trying to keep the answers. I'm trying not to point any fingers.
No, that's great, man.
We were talking, can I ask a quick question, Robert? We were talking about that the other night, though. So let's say who live in Ohio somewhere where I don't have all this heavy wind from the beaches, and I don't have that many opportunities to do reverse launches as forward launches. I mean, am I missing out on training them because it's not realistic that I'm going to always have that much wind as I would at a beach?
No, but I think when you train inland in light winds, you don't necessarily get the same glider control skills just because you don't have as much time kiting. Mm-hmm. And I think you can learn a lot by reverse kiting and looking at the wind or looking at the wing and actually seeing how it moves and how it deflates. It's part of the reason I like to learn reverse kiting first, because you can see everything and visualize what everything's doing and what your actions do and how they result. And then when you spin around, you don't have to look at the wing anymore. Like, you're not kiting forward, looking up like this. You're doing it more by feel. Okay. But so you're not going to get as much reverse launching in, because when it's reverse launchable wind, it's probably too bumpy. But I think getting the reverse kiting in is pretty good, and then just getting as many forward flights as possible. Ideally, though, number of flights does make a difference. So, well, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's an important launches and landings, right?
Yeah, and like on landings, it's if you just do like 2, and then you in the morning, and then you take lunch, and then you guys hang out or whatever, and then you come back and you launch at like 6-7 o'clock that night. It's not as good as getting like 10 back to back. Like take off, land, talk, or take off, land, talk about it, take off again, land, tell them what they did wrong, critique them on each one, rather than having them get one and then 7 hours later, you're like, okay, let's do another flight. It's good to get them back to back. Kind of burn those paths into your head. Let's
get to some intermediate stuff.
Okay.
You're talking a lot about wing control and doing SIVs. You're full stalling. Like, I watched one of your videos the other day, and you're like, okay, I'm flying this wing. Let's just check this out. I'm going to full stall it first. And you literally just go right straight for the guts of, in my opinion, that's like the pinnacle of whatever you're going to try right out of the gate, destroy the wing. Let's see how it falls to pieces. And so my first question is, are you more obsessed with free flight or paramotoring at this point?
Oof. That's a hard question. I actually change my answer on that quite frequently. I like free flight acrobatics more. And if I had to choose between like a really good free flight day and a really good paramotor day, I'd probably take the free flight day, just because they don't come as often.
Yeah.
Paramotor flying, finding good flights on a paramotor is easy.
Right.
So
where do you live?
If I had to, Florida.
Okay.
So if I had to pick one, I would pick paramotoring. Like, no, not a doubt in my mind.
Because you can just start it up early in the morning.
Yeah, it's way more accessible.
And then you
can get wherever you need to go. If you want to fly to that mountain, you don't have to wait on the wind. If you want to fly low, you don't have to.
You got the cheat button.
Yeah, you got the cheat button. You got your thermal on your back. So
that's cheating.
Yeah, but free flying, like testing out gear, I absolutely prefer free flight over it. It's safer. There's less weight, so you don't have to pull as hard. But it's mostly a safety thing. Like being over water, less stuff to get tangled on the glider if you go inside of it.
Oh yeah, and with a motor, gosh, that's got to be freaky, man. I don't know why if I fly over water, which it's very rare, it'll be at Torrey Pines. I'm just thinking, like, I do not ever want to have to go in the water with this gear. Mm-hmm. It just seems so scary. Okay, let's talk a little bit about acro.
Okay.
You love acro. You've got 7 years experience. At what point did you start really hucking big stuff with acro?
2016. I went to my first.
How many years were you in at that point?
5.
5
4.
years in?
About 4.5.
Okay. So I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Oh, and then I always wanted to get into acro a little bit more seriously, but it's not easy in the United States. You know, there's very few people that have SIVs, and SIVs is just kind of like the gateway to acro. Like SIVs is basically getting comfortable with your wing. And once you're comfortable with your wing and you know how to do all the inflations and stalls, then you can work into actually like doing the acrobatics and stuff. So in 2016, I was in Utah for work, and I knew that's where all the really good pilots in the United States are. Like you got Chris Anacroce there, Brad Ganuccio's there.
Yeah.
Like Inlow was there just a couple years prior before I got there. Bunch of good guys. Yeah, like Steve Mayer, great, owns Cloud9. Bill Hayner, who's been like instructor of the year several times. They're not in Utah. They're all in the same neighborhood, like right there on Point of the Mountain.
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, you'll be on the hillside with like 5 rock stars at one time. It's pretty cool. So I got there and I started taking SIVs, and that's when I really started getting into it. Because once you do the full stall, it's kind of like the breakthrough for the rest of the maneuvers. Because full stall is your safety. That's like if something goes wrong, you can full stall it. Yep, and reset out of it.
I've heard that said before. How true is that for a newer pilot that is in a situation that they weren't ready for?
Depends on what the situation is. If it's a deflation, you usually just want to get the deflation out and let it fly. But if you get yourself into like a twisted situation, where your glider's all twisted up and you don't want it to just open and dive on you real hard, then you stall it because it's not going anywhere when you have it in the stall. And then you can kind of work your way out of the riser twist or whatever and then come out of it. So, or like if you're trying to learn the helicopter, as soon as the helicopter starts going off, you stall it before it gets away from you and dives.
Ooh, that's good.
If on a sat, like if you pull a sat and you pull a sat too hard, it'll coconut spin. So it goes from a sat to like a helicopter and then it comes up over your head. But it's not a clean hot helicopter. It's accidental. So of course you're kind of freaking out. What a lot of people will do is throw their hands up, which will repower the glider and it'll dive. But, you know, if you spin the stat and the glider's spinning above your head like a helicopter now, you just go to your sweet spot, you know, your stall, and you stop everything, and then you settle underneath the glider, and then you work out of the stall.
Have you ever been twisted?
Yeah.
How many twists?
I think just one. I think that's the best I've gotten.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever thrown a reserve?
No, I haven't even come close. I haven't even actually thought about it yet.
You're over water quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You ever felt like you were out of control and it was going to be game over? And
no,
throw?
man, I think I'm really cautious because I haven't got myself in a situation where I even thought about. Actually, there was one time I was at Point of the Mountain and I was low and I did a loop and I tried to do a loop into a full stall. So I did a sat, then a loop, and a full stall. But the last thing was a full stall and it was kind of low because you don't get a lot of altitude at Point of the Mountain. And I did it off centered and the risers twisted. And I remember I pulled it into the tail slide. So it was in a tail slide when they were twisted. And I remember being like, if this doesn't come out, I'm going to throw. And before I could finish that thought, it came out. That was the closest, man. I really haven't gotten myself in like a good riser. I've had a couple slack line instances where I let the glider shoot and then everything just goes soft and I fall for a second. And then it snaps back. But that happens so fast, you don't really get scared. You're just kind of like, deal with it. Okay. Whew, that was kind of crazy.
That happened to me once, and that is freaky, man. Because you see the lines coming at you, spaghetti. Mm-hmm. Oh, no.
Yeah, actually, I just tested a glider last weekend, and it happened twice on the same glider.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was being real cocky. I was on a safe glider, so I was.
Do you want to share what glider it was?
It was a SEMA Power, the Sky SEMA Power. I got the review up on my channel. But yeah, just one of them was I was doing a negative spin. So you just take the brake and hold the brake down and the glider starts wobbling. And then you're supposed to release it at a certain time. And I was just, you know, the previous deflations I had done before that, I was like, man, this glider's so safe. I'm just going to, and I threw my hand up and the glider repowered and shot probably about 9 o'clock, maybe a little more, and then just turned into a ball. And then I'm like, oh crap. You know, it's cool. I have the whole video was taken from my leg. Like a leg cam, and then I fall and the glider's balled up and it just goes poof and reopens. I'm like, all right. And then I went for a heli right after that, and same thing. The glider doesn't want a heli, so I was just fighting it and trying to get it to spin, and it fell real far back behind me. At the same time, I was like, you know, I'm not going to get the heli on this one. So I just went hands up, not thinking. And the same thing, it shot all the way down, balled up, and then poof, reopened.
Where are you doing your SIVs at?
In Georgia. We got a, it's actually not an SIV class. It's me and 14 other guys or 13 other guys all went on a towboat and a winch. And then we all got tow tech certified. And we got a little group and we just say, hey, man, who's meeting up and going towing this weekend? This will actually be the first time that everybody's going and I won't be there.
When, this weekend?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the first. I've been there for every single tow day since we started. I haven't missed one day.
Wow.
And this weekend, because we have the flying, it'll be the first time I'm missing it.
Oh, the flying.
Got it. Woody's in the same tow club.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He was in the chat earlier. It's kind of late over there for you guys.
Yeah, I guess it's getting up on
10?
Probably, yeah.
I apologize again for everyone who is just now logging in. We're going to keep rolling with the questions. I want to give a couple things away really fast. Sean, if you're ready, I want to give away the second windsock, 3D printed windsock deal.
Oh, yeah.
One of them away. I was going to keep this one, but I just don't want to destroy it. And it would end up at Blossom, and I guarantee it would just get, somebody would bash it.
All right, here.
I think it would serve better if it belonged to a paramotor person.
Now I've got everybody's name in here. You ready?
Screen share. Can you do it?
Is it screen sharing?
Not yet.
It says that it is.
Double click the screen share.
Bear with us, folks. This is brand new, cutting edge technology.
Okay. Yeah.
And Sean's taught me everything I know about this program so far.
Is it working?
No.
It's working. We can see it on the YouTube. It's working.
Oh, it's working on YouTube?
Hey,
Yeah.
Robert breaking the internet, trash talking Google, and all that stuff.
That is scary.
All right, I'm going to give her a spin. I'm going to do it. I'm spinning.
Spin it.
Yep, she's spinning. Oh, Kathy Bailey.
Kathy Bailey, congratulations.
Kathy Bailey, congratulations.
New pilot. Nice.
Yes, Kathy Bailey, congratulations.
Write this down.
Is there going to be another one since, we were time delayed? And
Yeah, we'll do two. We're going to do a Tow Pro as well.
Hey, all right, Tow Pro.
You're thinking in the same. Go ahead and let that rip. I'm going to write down Kathy Bailey.
Yeah, Kathy Bailey. I'm going to give it another spin here, and there we go.
Okay. By the way, Kathy Bailey, please reach out to me using paraglidingtalk.com.
The next winner is Ron Hauser Paragliding.
What? Ron Hauser. Congratulations. He's a local. Ron Hauser.
Congratulations.
He won the Tow Pro. Tow Pro. I could probably just give that to him at Torrey Pines. Okay, Kathy Bailey and Ron Hauser, please reach out to me in the chat. I think, Ron, you should have my cell number. You can just message me and I'll get you this Tow Pro. But Kathy, you're going to have to reach out to me through the website, paraglidingtalk.com, and then just fill out the little contest form and let me know that you heard the message, that you won the mount. And what this is basically it goes on the top of the pole, and this thing swivels so that for the wind direction, so that your windsock doesn't get tangled around the pole as easy. I guess it still could happen, but pretty neat little deal. That 3D printed, and I can't remember the guy's name who made this. Forgive me. I'll figure out who that guy was again. I should have wrote it on my paper. Congratulations, winner chicken dinners.
It's all the stress that Google has put us through because of the Hangouts deciding to,
I know, man. Oh, here we go. My wife's giving away money to YouTube again. All righty. I can hear the delay. She's in there.
Did you notice that earlier in the show,
Mike S. That's right. Sorry.
You had a donation from Trike Flyer to help pay for your first month of Zoom. That was really generous of you, Dave.
Dave, thank you again, by the way. Thank you for that. Seriously.
It was also to the cuss jar too. I mean,
yeah, I saw. I wasn't going to say it, but yeah.
No, you're welcome, man. I love the show. Love what you do. And I'm still working on the whole paragliding.com. I'm trying to do
Talk.com.
There you go, man. Can I have your autograph?
Yeah.
Often imitated, never duplicated.
Exactly. I'm going to have him sign my wing next time I'm out there.
I have guys literally walking up to me at Torrey Pines, and they'll say, "Hey, Rob," and I'm like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And they'll come up to me, and a couple of these guys have come up and they go, "Paraglidingtalk.com," and so I'm thinking I'm just going to start recording people when if they come up, I'm going to get their imitation. Gabriel Brown,
Jeb
had the not Gabriel, the guy that I interviewed. The guy that's like 3 million subscribers on YouTube has the voice. I almost want to have him do the voice for the commercial, because eventually we're going to do. Anybody else, by the way, getting the Dell commercials? Super Dell. I was like, what in the world? I've got to do a commercial. Paraglidingtalk.com commercial.
Well, I guess that depends on how much you want to pay for it.
Yeah, I'm stacking money, man. Every episode. By the way, if you want to support the show, Patreon. You can do it on Patreon. You can also do it on PayPal. Scary clown. Turn around, Andrew. You're like, there's nothing there, Robert. Just relax. There's no one here. Andrew's literally by himself right now, and there was this creepy clown behind him. Did you see something behind you?
I did.
Okay. All right.
I was distracted. It was a good move. He sent the dog over, so I was petting the dog, and then I wasn't paying attention. He snuck in behind me.
That is hilarious. I love it. I think my wife just threw the phone across the house. Afraid of clowns.
Well, at least it wasn't at you, though.
Yeah. Who is that back there? That is hilarious. That is my kid.
There's a creepy clown.
Oh, that's excellent. Okay, back to business. Let's talk a little bit more about, because I know that there's a handful of guys that want to talk about safety and acro, and those are two big topics. And let me just, what's on your maneuvers list? Where did you go in your progressions? You started off obviously with like big ears or something. Talk about where your progression started and maybe just kind of go down the line.
I did, I guess, wingovers first, and then I did sats, and then I did loops, but I don't think that that's the best way to go about it. When I did my SIV, actually, and I found this at a couple schools, before you start doing any acro, they want you to go all the way through the full stall.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't understand why at first, and then after I kept hearing it from people, and then like I would be on the paragliding hill, and like, you know, Cody Matank, who just did the X Alps, one of the best pilots in the whole country, and I was talking with him, and he just kind of just looks at me real serious, and he's like, you know, you really got to get that full stall dialed before you start moving on to anything else like that. And I'm like, you know, everybody keeps saying it, and there's got to be something real about it. But I think you can get away with doing wing overs. Barrel rolls are pretty safe. It also depends on the wing. Like if you're on a sportier wing, like if you're on like a free ride, wing overs are a breeze. If you're on a free ride, like doing barrel rolls is a breeze. But to do them on a little bit, like if you're doing them on like acro wings is a lot different than doing them on like kind of like reflex wings and stuff. But I think the progression is basically spirals, wing overs, sats, and then this is after you get the stall ideally. But if not, then you have to get the stall. And then from the stall, you can kind of go into helicopters or wobble copters, which is like an off-axis heli, which is what we end up doing for like a year before we actually get the helicopter down. And then misty flips. And then from there, you can go dynamic entries, which are kind of like tumbles, or rhythmic sats, which is kind of what I'm working on now.
Oh, wow. So, man.
Yeah.
Are you there?
I can do baby rhythmics. You know, like I can get over at like 10 o'clock, 10:30.
What stops you from committing?
Fear.
No, that's great, man. That's the honest answer. You're still flying because
so I build it up, and then I'm still kind of figuring out. I was actually talking with somebody the other day. I was like, you know, if I get these rhythmics to to 11 o'clock, I'm going to end up having to go back to either Gabriel Jeb or Max Marion or Brad Ganuscio to give me that last little 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock. But I think I can safely learn because I'm pretty reserved. Like I know I do some stuff that like some people don't, but I also take like 3 times longer to get it done than everybody else, I think. So, and then the other thing is like progression on paramotoring. I think that you should learn stuff free flight first before you do paramotoring past the SAT. Like I think it's okay to do SATs on motors, wing overs, loops on motors. Obviously, a lot of people are doing them. But like learning the stall, you got to go SIV. You got to go over water for that. And then, of course, with the helicopter, that could be that one's like the hardest one to master, and it's tricky. Like just when you think you got it, you don't. Like I'll go up and do one run, and I'll hit like 3 in a row. I'll be like, oh man, I finally figured this out. And I'll go up on the next run, and I'll miss 4 in a row. What the heck?
Ooh.
So yes, and that's also being tired and not tired. So if I do towards the end of the day, no matter how good I feel, my acro starts going pretty bad just because I'm mentally exhausted, physically exhausted.
That is a great point, by the way. If you mentally, if you're not good, you shouldn't be flying, right? And then if you're not, it's kind of like, remember when you were a kid and you were getting ready to go to school for a test day, and either your parents or somebody at school would be like, we want to make sure that we eat before we blah, blah, blah. There was something about being nurtured, or nourished.
Mm-hmm.
And so same thing. And especially with free flight stuff, right? If you're going to be going out and you're going to do some big XC day, like that's my passion is I'm going to eventually do cross country stuff. The other day I landed behind the power lines at El Cap. Have you flown Blossom, by the way?
Mm-mm.
Okay, come on, man. Let's go. Fly Blossom. I landed behind the power lines.
Is that the one that's right on the shore? Like it's like ridge lift and there's power lines back here?
So it's Blossom Valley. And then you get up from Blossom Valley and then you cross the valley to what we call El Cap.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Southern California. It's right here in San Diego. Incredible place to fly. We call it Awesome Blossom. There's a few guys that call it their favorite place to fly. That have flown all around the world.
Okay.
But anyways, I landed behind the power lines and I was thinking, man, it was an hour and 40-minute hike out. And if you don't have enough food and enough water and all those things, but I'm thinking it's like these X-Alps guys.
Oh yeah.
They didn't, do you guys bring snacks or something to eat in case you land out and have a motor out?
I'm pretty bad at that stuff, honestly. If I'm lucky if I have like a power bar and like one thing of water with me, but I don't fly really too much out in the middle of nowhere. Right. And if I do, I'm with somebody. So that's motor, and I kind of stay around civilization, and then most of my free flying is pretty much all done at that lake. So we just get towed up to 4,000 feet, pin off, and then come straight down where we landed.
Very interesting.
Robert,
yeah, go for it.
Did you make turn 8 on that X-Alps launching the other day?
Turn 1. That is heading for turn point number 8. Yeah, that was horrible. He's referring to the last video that I just posted. I landed on the side of Amen Ridge, which is like, it means you're basically done. You're at the very bottom of the hill at Blossom. And there's every once in a while there's a chance that you can land there and wait for it to turn on a little bit or wait for the wind to kick up, and you can relaunch from there and keep flying. Sometimes you just kind of hike up maybe 50 feet and then you can relaunch and catch something. And I've been able to do that a handful of times, but I don't recommend it. And because if you don't get up, you sink the ship, and the hike is brutal. And you can't hike up Amen Ridge. I did that once and it is just brutal.
Made you cry.
So yeah. It's like the double or nothing launch.
Yeah. But the video that I posted that I was able to get back up that day, and nice. It's fantastic. And Trike's harassing me because I was using the X-Alps voice. Who's the guy that hosts the X-Alps?
Awesome, man. The way that you did it was awesome. I just started laughing when I heard it.
That guy's such a champ, just chasing around all the expert pilots, and just I don't know his name, but you guys know what I'm talking about. He Facebook Live. He's the Red Bull guy that Red Bull uses for all the commercials and stuff. Anyways.
There was a good question that was brought up in the chat. Yankee SC1 asked, can Andrew talk some about his own weight, body type, and wing loading as it pertains to acro and flying in general?
Body type is sexy. And I weigh 160 dry, and then my harness, I'm not quite sure how my harness weighs. How much it weighs, but it's got to be upwards of like 40 pounds, just because I have 2 big square reserves in there, and then it's an Acro 3, which has like this much padding on the bottom and probably this much on the back of it. So I'm probably about 200 pounds all up when I'm doing it. So,
Andrew, we were talking, Yankee and I were, and a bunch of other people, the other night we were talking about this thing in regards to some of the recent events, the tragic recent events that have happened in our community. And we were talking about body weight. We were talking about Kyle Mooney a little bit, and he's a little bit smaller, but the stuff he can do. But as the body weight is less, and Yankee will correct me, I'm sure if I'm saying this wrong, as your body weight is less, those high velocity G spins are going to affect your mind a little bit more. But it's something that, with a lot of training, like he has done, you work up to that. And can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, about the G forces, that absolutely makes a difference. So when I first started switching over from like my ENA or my EMB gliders that I was learning acro on, and I went over to like the Blackout, which is the full blown acro glider, just the wing overs, like if I did a flat down spiral, or if I was even doing a sat, you're spinning a lot faster, and there's not too many G's in a sat, but you can feel them when you're in an acro wing, whereas you can't really feel them that much if you're on an ENA glider. Just the spinning around, like, so when you do wing overs on like a beginner wing, it's kind of like right? On an acro wing, it's like the thing dives and gets a bunch of energy and it pulls way out. So it's a lot bigger travel. And because you're going a lot bigger distance, the glider's doing, you're traveling a lot more on the acro wing, and you pull a lot more G's. And in the helicopters too. I never got dizzy before, honestly, but if I hit a heli on like a 20 square meter at first, when I was doing on the acro wings, I would spin around like 8-10 times, and I would come out of it and be like, all right, I'd give myself about 5 seconds, and then I would go at it again. But it wasn't like on my Emotion 3, which is an ENA glider, and I'll just transition from whatever move to whatever move, and if it doesn't work out, then I'll just kind of stall and go into something else. So yeah, to answer your question, building up like the G-force tolerance definitely takes some practice, and I think the only way to do that is just to make sure that you don't go past your boundary. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I feel a little bit disoriented or just like a little bit too much pressure, I come out and I level out, and then I make sure everything's good. I'm like, okay, we're good, everything's good, remember to breathe, and then I go at it again. So now it doesn't bother me as much. But when I first switched over, it was enough. There was a lot more power in those wings, and they were a lot faster. So I did notice it.
And just to reiterate this point, and again, in light of recent events, I would assume that you would never recommend anybody to just go out there and try it on their own, but to get proper training for this.
Yeah. So I started doing that over water with 2 reserves. And yeah, it's really good to have somebody on radio because they know things you don't know. So the one time I did come close to blacking out was actually on an ENA wing, and I went flat down, and I was just going flat down, going with a motor on, and it felt good. It felt fine. I think I went around like 6 or 7 times. I was fine. Now, when I pulled out of it, that was when, so I was going flat down. When I pulled out of it, that's when the darkness started to close in, and then it came out. And then I saw the stars, like little tracers. I sat there for a minute. And what I actually did, I didn't even breathe when I did that spiral. Like I went into it and I was like, I just went all the way around. So I was like, okay, let's work up to this. So I went around 3 times, which I know I could do. And I was concentrating on my breathing more. And I pulled out of it, worked up to 4, worked up to 5, but that's also an E&A glider. They say like over 3 rotations on an acro glider, you got to toss because they just get more and more powerful, more and more G's.
It is no joke.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that, bro. Well,
Yeah, the first time I did a wing over on an acro wing, I was like, whoa, this is a totally different animal. So it's like I had to relearn everything. So
that's very interesting. When you step up, there's way more G's and way more speed.
And the lines are a lot longer too on like acro wings. So there's more of you swinging out. Like, you know, you're gonna travel the same, or the glider might travel the same distance, but you're traveling more because you're going around the outside of it with a lot longer lines. And they are significantly longer. So far as glider side, I would say if you're learning moves like negative maneuvers, like stalls and helicopters, it's good to be on oversized. It's good to be on the lower weight range of a glider. Just because everything moves slower. You can actually read what the glider's doing, and it reacts slower if you are flying a glider that's bigger rather than smaller.
So let me bring the balance on that. If you're free flying, you're going to typically want to, well, first, I recommend reading your wings specifics. When they do the testing, there'll be some excerpts on what that wing loading looks like or what they liked. They'll fly it at 75%. They'll fly it at 100% all up, and they'll give feedback on what that glider does. So I recommend looking at your specifics in the wing, in the testing. I can't remember what it's called, the dynamic testing reports or whatever. And then I was told from my instructor, Phil Russman, talking about fly closer to the top of your wing when it's free flying, because when you're flying light, thermals kind of bump you around. You're going to take a lot more light collapses rather than, and you have less control. When you're loaded, you've got much more input authority. And so that, I just want to bring that balance.
Yeah. Paramotor guys almost always fly overloaded. Yeah, it's just more fun. You're faster. It's more agile. But like for learning moves, I like going a little bit bigger glider because it might even be harder. Like wing overs with the bigger glider is you have to have your timing down a lot better than on a small wing. Small wings, you can hit them a lot easier. And it also depends on the type of wing. But I noticed when I was like, if I go and grab somebody else's glider, if it was like a 24 square meter and I'm goofing around on it, I can learn the wing faster because it's bigger and slower. But also if you're free flying, you know, it's good to have a little bit bigger wing because you gotta get your altitude to practice. You know, if you're trying to get up to altitude on like a 20 square meter blackout, it's gonna be really hard.
Take forever.
Yeah, that's kind of what ended up, like, part of the reason we all wanted to get a boat was because there's not too many places in the United States, and certainly not on the East Coast, where you can get enough altitude to practice acrobatics safely. So in order to fly the wing you want and get the altitude you want, you pretty much got to get a towboat.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. We do need to give away something.
Yeah.
The PPG smoke. By the way, the show is sponsored by PPG Smoke. Ryan Roberts, great guy. He donated 52 something or others to the show. It started off with the smoke machines. He invented the smoke machine. And but anyways, the winner, chicken dinner tonight. Scary clown face. Mike Still. Congratulations, Mike Still. I'll be sending you an email with the details on how you can collect your winnings. Mike Still was the one actually who made this deal. So thanks for 3D printing that. And the randomizer chose you tonight. Mike Still.
That guy's name. What's that guy's name? That one guy that made that swivel thing. Yeah.
Mike Still.
Mike Still.
Congratulations, Mike. And I will be sending you an email with the details. So you get to choose a smoke machine for your paramotor, or float system, or lamels, or what's the last one? Chase cam. PPG Smoke Chase Cam. So it's your choice. You get to pick one. Congratulations. All right. I should have gave that away at like the half an hour mark, because I know it's like 10:30 for most of the people that are watching the show. There's 71 people still watching. Oh gosh, guys are crazy.
That's how awesome our audience is.
Yeah, no, you guys are awesome. I used to be able to keep up with the chat. It's a losing battle for me now. And people will tell me later on, did you see such and such and what was happening in the chat? And I'm like, no, had to go back. Ripman riding in the house.
All right.
Love Ripman.
Yeah.
He's been in for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Glenn Tusing, I want to have you on the show. We need to set this up. Let's make this happen. I'm going to be out next week, by the way. There'll be no show next Thursday. However, the following Thursday, we will be ready. Yeah, we're going to a Bible conference. Oh, it's going to be.
You're going flying, aren't you?
Flying. That would be kind of cool, but it's we're going to Arizona, and it's just way too hot in Arizona. I guarantee there's
South Mountain right now. Come on, those fun with you.
Oh no!
There's nothing like an Arizona summer thermal.
I watched them hang glide back in the day, but I think it was always post frontal, which is rare in Arizona.
I've launched twice now off South Mountain, and it's April, and it's just getting to the limit that I don't like. I can't imagine summertime.
I think it says it in the name. It's like when you're out there, it's like Arizona,
Oh, it's a dry heat. Try coming down here. I mean, yesterday when I launched, it was 90 degrees with about 85% humidity.
Yeah.
You had to work to get off the ground, but man, it was butter air. The reward was worth it.
Yeah. Thank you all. By the way, sponsors, all you guys, Nebraska PPG, Resurgence PPG, Mike Cotter, and the Fly My PPG, ParaOrangeProducts.com. Go check them out. PPG Smoke, Tri-State Skywalkers, iFly Indiana. If you want to advertise something on the show, reach out to me on the website, paraglidingtalk.com. We will get your advertisement out there, and it's cheap as dirt. Cheap as dirt. I'm going to have to start raising my price if I get any more sponsors. Somebody stopped me the other day and they go, bro, wait until you start having to choose who your sponsors are. It's coming, bro. It's coming. I was like, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I do. It's so fun to pretend. You know what I mean? Pretend like you're YouTube famous.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. This is episode 83 or something like that.
83. It is.
Back when you started doing episode 1 through 5, did you think it would become this?
I don't know. I live in a little fantasy world.
All right.
I do. I live in fantasy world.
He daydreams. Okay.
Fantasyland.
Hey, Dave.
Yes, sir.
We need to bring Robert Michiels on show one of these days. Just saying.
I know. Except we got to change our date then, because Sundays he's occupied.
Well, we can always do an after dark. We just got to have our agent call his agent.
This is true.
Yeah, you have to talk to my agent. I can't just.
He may be an expensive guest.
But they need to read the portfolio first.
Oh, by the way, Dave, I sent your shirt, Paragliding Talk.
I had it. I would have worn that tonight instead of this.
Yeah, it's on its way. And if it doesn't show up in the next day or so, I got a tracking number. You can track them down.
Oh, I'm sure it'll get here. I was going to wear it Sunday night, actually.
So, Andrew, what's next on the flying agenda? You said earlier, right?
Oh, you mean like short term, long term?
Yeah. I mean, what's your big goals?
So the next thing I want to focus on, I actually kind of did it a little bit last week, but our boat broke, so I didn't quite get to finish it. And I think it's going to take me another at least 2 months to get a good grasp on it. But I want to start doing all those deflation testing on all the reflex gliders.
Oh, okay. I like that. We didn't really get a chance to talk too much about your gear, but you own that's your brand, SkyTap Angel?
Yep.
SkyTap Angel. So you've worked with somebody and got everything all set up, and you have a design, and now you're mass producing these paramotors. Yeah. What motor do you use?
We use all the Vitarazi motors.
Vitarazi, okay. Mm-hmm. And the frame design and everything, that's something that you worked out comparing stuff from Blackhawk and some things you took away the better benefits from both. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it was, so I've been flying different. I always, like, especially like this flying I'm just going to, I'm always trying to fly other people's stuff and kind of figure out what's the best of all worlds. And man, after everything I flew, I still like that flat top a lot and the way it performed, but the comfort was not there. And there's some issues in the weight shift. Like you shift over and you get locked into one side. It's not like a vicious lock, but you have to like actively weight shift out. And the comfort wasn't that good. And, you know, a lot of people don't really want to fly that gear because the owner is just, you know, so vicious.
So friendly and smiley and
yeah.
He's fine.
Yeah. So,
I'm warming up to him.
Listening, so be careful what you say.
yeah. So yeah, it took about 2 years of prototype. Well, actually, a little more than that. We started off with just the harness, just prototyping like our own personal harness for it, and ended up just working our way through the whole machine. And it was nuts. At first, I was like, man, how much stuff can I actually change on this to make it better? And then once I got started, it was just little tweaks here and there, and it's significantly different now, in the weight shift especially.
How can somebody buy gear from you?
We have our website, SkyTapParamotors.com. You can reach out to me on Facebook, YouTube, anything.
Excellent.
I didn't ask you this before, but when did you decide to start doing the cage drag? What prompted you to do that?
Man, that happened on accident in like January of this year. I think it might have been December of this year. But I went to Aviator PPG, meeting up with Mark Honeycutt just to hang out. And we were actually going to do like this. We were all going to meet like all the big internet celebs. And then we're going to go fly to like the Bahamas and back. But it fell through. Yeah. It fell through with the weather. So like we had a boat rented. Everybody was thrown in on this boat. And so I'm out there with my buddy, and we're just kind of flying around on the aviator field. And they had this big puddle in the middle of their like launch and land, like in the middle, like the airport, you know, like between all the concrete. So everybody's foot dragging it. So I come in and I foot drag it, and I go to foot drag from the water to the land. And then I start going like back and forth, left and right, like zigzagging, foot dragging. And at some point I just came down and put the cage on the ground and flew out of it. And I was like, huh. So my buddy was getting ready to launch. And so I flew over by him, and I was like, kind of scooting the cage on the ground, like showing him like, hey man, look, I'm kind of dragging the cage. And then I messed up again and went down, like went from like dragging the cage on the ground to like this. And I hit the throttle and I pulled out of it. And I was like, okay, hold on a second.
Gosh.
Let's do that again. So I came back around, and then I went from dragging the cage on the ground flat, and I just kind of lowered it until I got it to about here, and it just kept pulling out of it. So then, I just figured that out, and then I did it probably like 15 times that night.
I would say the top 3 things I saw when I was at Bad Apples this year. Number 3 was Woody's acro. Number 2 was your cage drag. And number 1 was Rick Davies in a coconut bra. That was
wow. Couldn't even make it through a whole show without having to talk about
No, seriously though, that was so freaking cool to watch you do that. And I think all eyes were on you.
Yeah, it was just an accident figuring out. And then actually, I haven't done it since Bad Apples.
Really?
You don't want to blow up a prop or something.
Yeah, it's weird. It's now I have gone down twice doing it now, but you just kind of like drag to a stop and then just stand up.
Does it flip over? Like, will it flip over on top of you?
No, because you're kind of I'll have to show you the video, but no, it's like a cage drag that just turns into like a stop, and you just like stand up. It's kind of weird.
That's how we get PPG Gorilla into foot launch, and we just tell them it's a trike.
Yeah. That is one thing I do want to try and do. I want to try and take off with the cage on the ground. But I need smooth air for that.
And power. Bring that 185 out.
I figure if it's wet,
Yeah.
just like kind of kick my feet and get me moving. So.
All right. Well, we're going to go to the post show. I really appreciate everybody coming on. Andrew, please come on again. Incredible show tonight. So much wealth of knowledge. And I know that you've got so much more to offer. Will you come on again?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah. I think in a couple months after I test out some more of these reflex gliders, probably be good.
That's a great idea.
So,
We'll stay in touch for that. And thank you guys that are in the chat. Everybody, also everybody who donated in the super chat. You guys are awesome. Appreciate the donations in the Patreon and PayPal. The subscribers. If you haven't subscribed and you're new, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and you'll catch all kinds of good stuff. And I'm gonna do my homework to make sure that I'm not late next time. Next week there will not be a show. But the following week, there will be a paraglidingtalk.com show. I've got to figure out how to set up the show on the website. I'm sure there was some people that clicked in and was like, what the heck? I haven't had a chance to adapt any of that stuff yet. So
make sure you hit the bell on Robert's channel, though. So as soon as he does go live, you're in on it.
The bell.
Got to hit the bell.
Yeah. And the like button. If you haven't hit that yet, I don't know why you haven't, because Andrew's pretty awesome. Just saying. And Glenn, I'm going to reach out to you. Glenn Tusing is an incredible human being. You guys don't even know.
oh yeah.
You will, because we're going to have him on the show. Incredible. You guys you're not going to believe me until you actually hear him say stuff. And you'll be like, what? Okay, he's right. That's an incredible human being. Okay. We're going to go to the post show. Let's see if I can do this the right way. Congratulations, Kathy Bailey, Ron Hauser, and Mike Still. Your stuff is coming soon. And Kathy, I already got your information. I wrote it down and said, oh, I wanted to show you guys something real quick. Check this out. This is a company that came by my building. It's a charter company, Charter Flight Group, CFG. They came by our building and they hooked up this model. Does anybody know what plane this is?
Todd.
It's like a Citation.
It's a jet. And all you jet lovers, all you actual pilots, not flying bedsheet pilots, but real pilots would be like, oh yeah, that's a such and such. And I know I've flown that. Jeff Goen would be like, that's a such and such. You would nail it. But anyways, they gave me this. And I'm repping the shirt too. They hooked it up. This is $500. I don't know why, but it's super cool. Anyways, that's going to be in the background from now on. We're going to go to the post show. You guys are awesome. Thank you again, Dave Wolf, Trike Flyer. Thank you, Sean, Andrew. Once again, thank you so much. We'll be in touch. And I'm going to put a link to the description, the link to your website. So if people want to buy gear from you, they can do that. Great information. We're going to do it again very soon. Am I missing anything? I see there's a chat question. You got the question from Yankee and SC1?
Did. Yep.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, you guys are awesome. We're going to stop the live stream now, and we're going to go to the post show. Thank you guys. You guys rock. Paraglidingtalk.com.